Back when I was in college, one of the classes that I dreaded the most was advanced math. Every time the class started, I'd be dozing off, yawning all the time. And the main girl in this movie, Mirun, is exactly the same. She fell asleep during math class and even had a dream. She dreamt of becoming a high-end model designer. Suddenly waking up, she thought the teacher was calling on her to speak, and while she was flustered, the male lead, who's a top student, handsome, and also comes from a rich family, walked into the class. His name is Zhong Wei. It seems like the two of them know each other, because as soon as she saw him, Mirun pulled a wool hat over her face. After class, the two of them met up outside. Zhong Wei said, "It's been over 2 years. Finally, you're back in my hands. Why did you disappear without a word back then? You're a jerk. You know that?" Mirun kept making excuses and tried to run away. As soon as she got back to her room, she ran into her nosy friend Luo C. This girl, known as the dorm's information gatherer, immediately teased Mirun. "You just want to see your boyfriend, didn't you? You look so happy." Zhong Wei's roommate is Xiao Yu, a professional gossip and basketball fanatic. Xiao Yu used to go to school with Mirun and heard her say that she was single and had never had a boyfriend. Zhong Wei wasn't too pleased to hear that. This group of girls is waiting for their last roommate to arrive, the beautiful Su Miao. The one with glasses, busy studying, is Zhao Gu, a strong and career-driven girl. Every day in class, Mirun avoids Zhong Wei like the plague, sometimes intentionally walking with the teacher, sometimes sticking close to her friends. But you can't escape fate. Zhong Wei, why do you keep avoiding me? And you even told everyone you've never had a boyfriend? The girl stammered, not knowing how to answer, so she pretended to have a stomachache and ran off. Mirun got back to her room and received an invitation to the Hang Changji Internal Order Fair. But actually, she had someone forge the invitation. No one really invited her. The next day, luckily, the security guard's eyesight wasn't very good and didn't notice, so Mirun successfully got into the exhibition. There were a lot of incredibly cute model figures on display here. It turned out that Zhong Wei was unexpectedly the son of the chairman of Hang Changji. He was accompanying his father to introduce the company's products. At this time, Mirun was enthusiastically introducing the artworks to everyone. Being a huge fan, she even secretly took some photos to show off to her friends, but Zhong Wei caught that action on camera from afar without her knowing. These young people started gathering, eating, and drinking to celebrate their upcoming student life. Everyone sharing their many dreams and ambitions for the future. Mirun was the same. She wanted to become a high-end model designer, and in the future, apply to work at Hang Changji. It was the most prestigious model-making company in the region. The next day, the class president came to find Su Miao to ask for a small favor. Because she had a beautiful face, she was very suitable to represent the class in the school ambassador competition. But Su Miao refused because she didn't like those trivial things. Failing to persuade Su Miao, and also unable to get Zhong Wei on board, the class president got a huge headache. Xiao Yu seized the opportunity, changing into many different outfits, hoping to become the school ambassador, but with limited looks and no schemes, there was no way. Mirun now had to cover herself up completely whenever she went out to avoid being spotted by Zhong Wei. But the more she wanted to hide, the more she couldn't. Answer me now. Why did you disappear without a word? If you don't tell me, this video will be sent to the HR director of Hang Changji. Out of options, Mirun made up a bunch of excuses, like their zodiac signs weren't compatible and he didn't have six-pack abs. But Zhong Wei was too smart to believe those excuses. He left and gave her time to think carefully before answering. Xiao Yu in his room constantly tried to lift weights day and night, hoping to get more muscles, making it easier to compete for school ambassador. He even planned to ask Mirun to draw him a really nice poster for the campaign. Zhong Wei saw this and did a 180, deciding to represent the class in the ambassador competition. Since he had the video, Zhong Wei had an excuse to boss around and meet his crush more often, sometimes making her fix his broken bike, sometimes making her buy food and drinks, and even asking her to draw him a really handsome poster for the competition. Although she didn't want to, Mirun had to agree because she was being blackmailed. And through Xiao Yu's loudspeaker, she found out that Zhong Wei would have a friendly basketball game tomorrow. What kind of conspiracy is this girl planning? Zhong Wei's basketball game went according to plan. All the guys looked so handsome. During the break, the class president even enthusiastically bought water for the whole team. The beauty queen, Su Miao, secretly had a crush on Zheng Zhe, so even with no asking, she also brought water to him. As for Mirun, she snuck into the gym, then approached his bag, trying to steal Zhong Wei's phone. Luckily, the class president didn't notice. Miran planned to delete that video so Zhong Wei wouldn't have anything to threaten her with. But she tried to crack the code many times and kept entering it wrong. Finally, she tried entering her own birthday, and it worked. But unfortunately, Zhong Wei had discovered his phone was missing and had chased her down. I've already uploaded it to the cloud. How can you find it to delete it? You're still too young and naive. He refused when a female fan offered him water, a moment that reminded me Run of when they were in high school. He always rejected every girl like that. Where can you find such a decent guy, Miran? She carried many thoughts back to the dorm. Seeing Su Miao sitting idly, she went to ask a few pointless questions. If, for example, you were dumped by your boyfriend without a word, and then a few years later you accidentally met him again, what would you do? Su Miao, without thinking, replied that she would have to get revenge. When you eat a fruit, remember the one who planted the tree. When you drink water, remember the source. How can you easily forgive someone who has hurt you? Her friend Luo Si wasn't very interested in Miran's story because she was busy going to dinner with her handsome crush. Luo Si painstakingly prepared delicious food for her boyfriend, but he kept criticizing it. Oh, and if she even glanced at her phone messages, he would get all annoyed and upset. If you're in love and you're hiding things like this, I suspect something's up. According to the previous appointment, Zhong Wei would ask Run to draw a poster for him for the school ambassador competition. He even carefully dusted off the chair, planning to sit close together romantically, but Miran just wanted to finish drawing quickly and leave. But after drawing countless posters, Zhong Wei still wasn't satisfied, criticizing them all. Annoyed, Miran went out to the lake to play with the cat. Zhong Wei knew he had teased her a bit too much, so he went to apologize. He said, "Whatever your reason for breaking up with me before, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't want to know, and I'm not angry with you anymore, but you still have to draw a really nice poster for me. And don't forget, the video is still there." Then he picked up the cat and left, a moment that made him look like a prince from a fairy tale. Luo Si and her boyfriend continued their date at the movie theater. Luo Si asked, "Do you not love me anymore? Why did you change your phone password? We never had any secrets between us before." He saw his girlfriend talking too much during the movie, so he covered her mouth. The next day, the whole class had an advanced math test, but Miran was nowhere to be found. It turned out she was busy submitting the poster for Zhong Wei. Grateful for Miran's enthusiasm, Zhong Wei went to find her to reminisce about old times, but she kept avoiding him, just hoping he would delete that video. Annoyed, Zhong Wei told her to come up with a plan to help him win the school ambassador competition, and then he would delete the video. Once again, being ordered around, this girl was very annoyed. Annoyed as she was, Miran still researched ways to help Zhong Wei get more votes. She was already having a headache and then got a stomachache because it was her time of the month. I feel sorry for her, but also we can't do anything about it. Besides going to school, Zhong Wei always helps his father with the company's work. This time, he's helping department head Chi Chao increase the company's retail sales. They have a bet with the design director. If sales are lower, Zhong Wei will have to publicly apologize. He remembers the poster that Miran drew and gets the idea to produce toys that emit a gentle warmth when touched by people. This idea is quite good, so Chi Chao immediately starts testing it. Because it's her time of the month, and she's out of pads, Miran has to rush to the supermarket to buy some urgently. Unfortunately, she runs into the class president, who's also shopping there. Thinking the class president will scold her for skipping math class the day before, she hurries away, forgetting her pads. Having no choice, the class president brings them to Su Miao to give to her, but the beauty queen misunderstands him as a pervert. Talk about doing a good deed and getting blamed. And Su Miao has fallen head over heels for the basketball hotshot, Zheng Zhe, so she keeps running to watch him practice. But he's surrounded by a lot of female fans. The scene shifts to the boys' dormitory. The four-eyed class president is writing a love novel when his computer breaks down, demanding repair money. Just then, a friend comes by handing out voting ballots, asking everyone to support the person in the picture, who is Zhong Wei. So this is the ambassador campaign plan Miran came up with. Zhong Wei isn't very pleased and calls her to the school rooftop to talk. Miran bought a lot of accessories to support the upcoming election. It seems she's determined to help Zhong Wei win first place. Su Miao helps her carry the stuff and keeps wondering why Miran is being so overly enthusiastic. Could her friend have some feelings for Zhong Wei? Miran denies it, revealing the truth about the video. Seeing her roommate in trouble, the girls all support each other to help her. They forgot the loudspeaker, so Su Miao volunteered to go buy one. When she gets to the rooftop, Zhong Wei confronts her. "Why would you print such a ridiculous photo of me looking like an idiot and hand it out to everyone?" She quickly explains that his opponent this time is extremely tough. It's Dabae. Big, tall, smelly guy. And look at him. Doesn't he look like a scrawny, weak, and feeble bookworm? Therefore, they need a strategy that targets people's psychology and emotions. He's being promoted by her as a rich family's hot boy, and anyone who votes for him will get company shares. I just can't with this me run. How could she even think of something so difficult? At the electronics store, Su Miao goes to find a high-powered loudspeaker and coincidentally meets the class president, who's there to fix his computer. Su Miao accidentally reads some of the novel files on his laptop and keeps teasing him. It seems like this class president is falling for the beauty queen. While discussing the election battle plan on the rooftop, Mi-rin receives a phone call from the delivery guy. She said, "I ordered a lot of supporting items for the ambassador election, but why does it say silk underwear on the outside? Is this also an election support item?" Mi-rin, seeing Zhong Wei ask that, felt embarrassed and quickly ran back to the dorm. Is this lady addicted to Amazon sales or what? She must have grabbed the wrong package that was supposed to go to Xiaogu because of online shopping in a hurry. Su Miao didn't know and accidentally cut open the package. It looked like a bedsheet with a rather old-fashioned pattern. Xiaogu was therefore unhappy and argued back and forth with Mi-rin's group. Just like that, these ladies argued. The election day is entering the final sprint. Mi-rin and Zhong Wei are wearing matching bear costumes. Looking extremely cute to attract people to vote, they need to try very hard. The class president also helps hand out flyers with the pink rabbit. He thought Luo Si was inside, so he took the opportunity to badmouth Su Miao, but it turned out to be Su Miao in that costume. So he got beaten up again because his mouth got him in trouble. Zhong Wei followed Mi-rin's instructions and kept dancing hip-hop continuously. Indeed, this method successfully attracted the female fans. Seeing that scene, Mi-rin suddenly remembered the time before, when she and Zhong Wei had known each other since they were very young. At that time, Zhong Wei was burying a dead cat and was teased and bullied by his friends, but luckily Mi-rin came to help. Perhaps Zhong Wei's feelings for her also started from that childhood day. After much effort, Zhong Wei finally became the school ambassador. He wants Mi-rin to give him flowers on the day he gives his speech to the whole school. Knowing that Zhong Wei is allergic to chrysanthemums, Mi-rin deliberately let the crazy female fans go up and give flowers to Zhong Wei, causing him to faint on the spot. When he woke up and heard from Xiaoyu, he realized it was Mi-rin's trick. She just wanted to prank him a little, but she didn't expect the consequences to be so serious. The next day, feeling guilty, she asked Zhong Wei out to apologize. His attitude is completely different now. He just said he had deleted the video, no one owes anyone anything, and then left. After the chrysanthemum allergy incident, Zhong Wei was still sick and didn't come to class. Mi-rin became a villain because she had harmed the national husband of the girls in the school. Su Miao is still immersed in the love net of basketball hotshot Zheng Zhe. She'll take any chance to chat and flirt with him. At the library, the bookworm Zhao Gu accidentally meets Shi Ho, a famous senior student in the field of business administration. So the two began to get to know each other and exchange academic knowledge. Mi-rin still sits alone in her room, thinking about everything that has happened in the past few days. Because the poster was the first work she drew for Zhong Wei. Thinking it was a bit regrettable, she snuck into the storage room to take it back as a souvenir. That action was caught by the nosy King Xiaoyu. He advised her, "People like hot boys or hot girls are just for looking at. You absolutely can't reach them, so don't dream about it." While he was talking nonstop, he met Zhao Gu and Shi Ho returning. Because they were still angry about the previous incident of taking the wrong package, the two still avoided each other. Returning to her room, Mi-rin unexpectedly received an email from Hang Changji announcing the interview schedule at the company. This is a big opportunity in her life to become the designer she's always dreamed of. They also said that the candidates need to bring their best work to the interview. As for Zhong Wei, he acted cold the other day, but in reality, he was always waiting for a message from Mi-rin to make up. Department head Chi Chao called to announce the good news that the friendly warming cat project had been approved by the company, and soon Zhong Wei would cooperate in taking advertising photos for the project. Mi-rin began her journey to order the models, but because the quantity she ordered was too small, no factory wanted to accept the job. Zhong Wei and the department head were also visiting a factory to order 20,000 warming companion cat models. The foreman refused because they only accepted orders of millions or more. The department head explained that this was a limited edition test run, so the quantity would be larger later, but he was still rejected. Out of options, he brought up Zhong Wei's status as the young boss of the Zhong family group, and the foreman's attitude immediately changed, and he accepted. The two happily left, and Zhong Wei saw his crush. She was walking dejectedly. Nowhere would accept making her models. She was about to drag her suitcase and give up. Then the savior appeared. The two went to eat and drink together. While drunk, she kept complaining she would die to join Hang Changji and become a high-end model designer. Seeing that Mi Run was completely drunk and didn't know what was going on, he took her to a hotel to rest. I knew that in this special situation, there would definitely be some romantic images like this. But it only stops here. There's nothing more, folks. Later, when she woke up, Mi Run saw Zhong Wei lying next to her. She remembered the embarrassing images from last night and didn't know where to hide to avoid the shame. She tried to sit up, but he grabbed her and pulled her into his arms to sleep more. Oh, these two lovebirds. The next morning, they went to the nearby factory to readdress the issue of making models for Mi Run. Zhong Wei used his status as a famous blogger with millions of fans. He would advertise for the factory on the condition that they help make a small number of models. Out of respect for Zhong Wei, the foreman agreed. The two happily strolled around town. Together, Zhong Wei recounted the story of how, in high school, he had once wished that the two of them would attend the same university, in the same class. He saw her off on the bus back to the dorm. The two looked at each other longingly. Surely after this mission, the feelings between these two people are starting to rekindle. The next day, Zhong Wei continued to resolve some issues at the company, after which he quickly went to school. This girl is always late for school. The advanced math classes with a notoriously strict teacher, and yet she's still waddling in late. Zhong Wei intended to give Mi Run a ride to be faster, but the bike didn't have a seat. As a result, Mi Run and 3 other male students were late. While the other 3 guys were being lectured by the teacher, Zhong Wei pretended to hold a book and asked the teacher a question, thus helping Mi Run successfully sneak into the classroom. At the end of class, a group of female students walked by, pointing and gesturing towards Sun Yao. Annoyed, she sat up and asked what was going on. They said Mi Run was a thief who took things from her roommate. That rumor came from the mouth of her friend Zhao Gu. Zhao Gu was still upset about the previous incident of taking the wrong package, and she also thought that Mi Run was spreading rumors about her dating the senior student Shirho, so she held a grudge. Not wanting to be gossiped about further, Mi Run suggested that they all go back to the room to settle it. Zhong Wei, who had been witnessing this, wanted to help her, but she rudely pushed his hand away. When they got back to the dorm and met Shirho standing there, the truth came out. The person who spread the rumor that Mi Run was a thief was actually him, not Zhao Gu. She really has a boyfriend worth every penny. Mi Run explained that taking Zhao Gu's sanitary pads temporarily was an accident, not petty theft. Su Miao also jumped in to defend her friend, and then suddenly remembered the day the class president gave her the sanitary pads. She rushed to the boys' dormitory to tell the class president everything and made him go buy her another one. Oh my God, it's women's business. You girls should deal with it yourselves. Why involve me? The class president grudgingly went up to tell Zhong Wei. He said that to untie the bell, you have to find the person who tied it. Moreover, with Su Miao's personality, the class president won't be able to live in peace. After thinking for a while and realizing that Zhong Wei was right, the class president secretly went to the supermarket. He was looking for the same type of pads as the other day when he was discovered by his friends, so he hastily grabbed some other items and paid. Unexpectedly, among those items were condoms, making the misunderstanding that the class president was a pervert even deeper in Su Miao's mind. After the pad issue was resolved, Zhao Gu then reported her watch missing. Just as she finished speaking, someone came in to announce that Zhao Gu's watch had been found, taken by a thief who specialized in petty theft in the dormitory, and had been caught by the security guard. At this point, Zhao Gu's expression became a bit scared. Mi Run sat looking at the poster again. She remembered the act of pushing Zhong Wei's hand away when he wanted to stand up for her. While she was thinking, Zhao Gu opened the door and walked in, holding a bag of food. She apologized for wrongly accusing Mi Run without any concrete evidence. But everything was in the past anyway, so Mi Run didn't hold a grudge. They laughed and hugged, making up happily. That night, before going to bed, Mi Run also texted Zhong Wei to apologize for her actions in class. Isn't that great? Everyone's happy the next day. The whole school held a student fair, lively and bustling. Everyone had the opportunity to register for the clubs they liked. Seeing Zhong Wei signing up for the basketball club, Mi Run rushed out to talk to him. but he ignored her completely. The reason is that the apology text last night was too short, concise, and succinct, so he was acting angry. Mi Run and Su Miao excitedly registered to join the cheerleading club. Because they were late, there were no more slots. The two were disappointed and left, but then Zheng Zhe appeared. He used his connections to help them register for the preliminary round. Mi Ren's dancing looked quite awkward, but it was passable, while Su Miao only had a pretty face, but her dancing was terrible. The coach immediately crossed her name off the list. When reading the names of those selected, Mi Run tried to ask the coach for another chance with a dance performance. The two of them looked like wriggling worms. As a result, the coach saw that Mi Run had an excellent combination, but Su Miao did not. Out of options, Mi Run forced the coach to accept Su Miao as well. If not, I won't participate either because we're lacking talent. Having a friend like Mi Run, the coach reluctantly agreed, so they successfully joined the school's cheerleading squad. After registering, the two went to the gym to watch Zheng Wei's team play a friendly basketball game. The boys took the opportunity to show off to the female fans below, so they played very enthusiastically and captivatingly. During the break, Mi Ren proactively brought water to Zheng Wei, but the awkwardly clueless Xiao Yu snatched it, thinking that Mi Run was giving it to him. Later, the coach came to ask for everyone's height and weight to register for the official team. Xiao Yu, although small, played nimbly and quite well. When asked about his height, he made up the number 1.75 meters, but the teacher saw that it wasn't quite right. Thanks to Mi Ren's silver tongue, saying he was only 1.72 meters tall, but was the best player in his previous high school, etc. She successfully fooled the teacher and got him registered for the team. Su Miao, at this time, ran to give water to her crush, Zheng Zhe, but saw him being affectionate with his girlfriend, so she was extremely disappointed. To sweeten Zheng Wei, she decided to go big, buying a 10-liter bottle of water. This is enough to bathe in, let alone drink, defeating all his female fan rivals. Xiao Yu, although he was registered for the team, was constantly criticized for being short and light, not as good as Zheng Wei. Annoyed, he played a trick, stuffing a week-old, unwashed, stinky sock into Zheng Wei's pillow. You could probably still smell it from 300 meters away. The class president, with his sensitive nose, couldn't stand it and had to spray a whole bottle of perfume, but it still didn't get rid of the stench. Zheng Wei was too engrossed in his love for the 10-liter water bottle, so he didn't care about the smell, no matter how bad. Su Miao, after learning that her crush already had a girlfriend, was heartbroken. She returned to the dorm drunk. Even though her friends asked her why, she just hugged her blanket and cried. The next day was the first cheerleading practice, and Su Miao was absent. The reason she wanted to join the team was because of Zheng Zhe, so now that things had turned out this way, there was no point. Mi Ren saw Zheng Zhe laughing and joking with another girl and guessed the reason for Su Miao's heartbreak. She returned to the room to comfort Su Miao. Life is long. Why be heartbroken over an undeserving fake man? Hearing her friend's reasonable words, Su Miao also calmed down somewhat and unfriended Zheng Zhe. At Hang Changji, the Warming Companion Cat project doesn't seem to be going as smoothly as expected because the materials are more complex, which also drives up the cost. That makes consumers less interested. Zheng Wei went to see his father, who is also the company's president. He said, "Our products are quite uniquely designed. It's just that the marketing communication isn't helping to boost sales." He asked his father for funding to open a chain of experience stores for users, but the president refused, saying it was too risky. Zheng Wei was saddened by this and skipped class, making Mi Ren quite worried. Actually, he went to see Miss Bai, told her the whole story, and asked her to invest, and this Miss Bai is his father's girlfriend. With just a few gestures and sweet words, he successfully got the president's money to invest in the project. What a dad, teaching his kid to sweet-talk women. Worried about Su Miao because something had to be wrong since she skipped the class, the kind class president went to check on her. Just as he went downstairs, he caught sight of Zheng Zhe bringing his girlfriend back to the dorm. So her tears started flowing again. The class president saw this and felt a pang of pain, wanting to comfort and encourage her, but Su Miao chased him away. When he returned, she only told Mi Run that she wanted to go for a walk tomorrow to clear her head. Right after receiving the funding, Zheng Wei and department head Chi Chao went to find a store to rent, but everywhere was asking for sky-high prices. After a whole day, they finally found a suitable location. After class, everyone ate dinner together. Su Miao, because of her heartbreak, was always immersed in novels. She even got so into it that she felt like she was the female lead in the story. But she doesn't know that those cheesy romance novels were written by the class president, the person she hates so much and always calls a pervert. After eating, Su Miao met the class president privately. She warned him, "If you dare to reveal that I cried because of a breakup and let everyone know, your life won't be easy with me." Luo Si, as usual, went to visit her boyfriend and accidentally saw a scene of another beautiful girl being very intimate with her boyfriend. Suppressing her anger, she brought out a white scarf, a warm scarf she knitted herself for her boyfriend. This was also a way of claiming ownership. "Don't touch my boyfriend, that's it." Because the funding was limited, Zhong Wei could only rent a rather old place that would need quite a bit of renovation before it could be put into operation. The decorators wanted to ask for more money because the workload was too much. Zhong Wei was out of money, so he came up with the bad idea of providing them with 2 meals a day, and those meals were taken from the Zhong family group. Where would he get the money to buy them? Today, the school held a quite important friendly basketball game. Our boys played with all their focus and effort. The cheerleaders cheered for both teams very enthusiastically. After the first half, the beautiful girls in the cheerleading squad were also called out to the court to add fuel to the fire. Mirin rushed to the gym, but the zipper on her back got stuck. Luckily, the handsome Zhong Wei came to help her. He didn't forget to ask her to meet him after the game at the park. After the cheerleading squad's performance, the second half officially began. Thanks to the height and skill of ace player Zhong Wei, our school won the game. Zheng Zhe met Su Miao and asked why she kept avoiding him. "Oh, he has a girlfriend, so why bother asking and caring about her?" The class president saw this and came to the rescue, pulling Su Miao away. Perhaps after this incident, Su Miao will have a more favorable view of this kind, four-eyed class president. Mirin waited for Zhong Wei outside the locker room to go to the park together as planned. After waiting for a long time, Xiaoyu ran out and said that a beautiful girl had just left with Zhong Wei. She rushed after them and saw him laughing and joking with some hot girl whose face she couldn't see. She was probably a little jealous, so Mirin angrily went back. Much later, Zhong Wei arrived at the meeting point. Mirin was still there waiting, but because she was too angry, she didn't want to meet him. Zhao Gu went for a walk with her boyfriend, Shirho, and the two chatted and confided in each other. He said he was very worried about his future path and career. If he stayed in the city to start a business, it would cost a lot more to live, so he planned to return to his hometown to live and work after graduating. Of course, he really wanted Zhao Gu to come back to his hometown with him, but she was a strong person who pursued a career, so she refused his offer. She even decided to break up with Shirho. The guy was heartbroken because of the breakup, so he got drunk and kept rambling in the female dormitory courtyard until the security guard chased him away. This Zhao Gu is really a cold-hearted girl. Remembering the scene of Zhong Wei going with a girl in the afternoon, Mirin angrily threw his poster in the trash. The next morning she met him, with a straight face, acting as if they didn't know each other. Then, at the end of the class, she was scolded by the teacher for being bad at math and not taking notes. Truly a day of bad luck for Mirin. Seeing that, Zhong Wei gave his class notes to Mirin to borrow and study. The advanced math exam had also arrived. As expected, Zhong Wei still got the highest score in the class, while Mirin was still at the bottom. She couldn't be worse. The teacher praised Xiaoyu for having made much more progress this time, and it was all thanks to Zhong Wei's notes. So Zhong Wei was very angry because Mirin didn't accept his good intentions, and instead, she gave his notes to Xiaoyu to study. No matter how much he asked, she just frowned and was irritable with him. She even posted on the school group saying that she would try to study hard by the end of the semester to get 80 points or higher, or else she would jump into the school's lake and swim. On Zhong Wei's side, he was taking his anger out on the construction workers, or rather, he was angry with his girlfriend and venting his frustration on them, seeing nothing to his liking and making the workers redo everything. In the dormitory, the class president watched Su Miao's live stream, calling for votes for the Winter Olympics ambassador, his eyes lighting up like stars as he watched her sing. Xiaoyu came up with the idea of inviting everyone to go karaoke for fun, not forgetting to tell Zhong Wei, even though he's going with a hot girl. The whole class saw him meeting a girl that day. Hearing this, Zhong Wei finally realized the reason why his crush had been angry with him for the past few days. The group rented a karaoke room together, but only Xiaoyu sang for 2 hours without getting bored. After a long time, Zhong Wei finally arrived. He even ordered a lot of food for everyone and reserved a seat next to Mirin. Everyone started playing a game of passing the mic, each person singing a line. Zhong Wei tried to time it to the line, "I don't have a girlfriend, I'm still single." as if intentionally saying it for Mi-run to hear. So she heard that and was delighted, happily laughing and joking with him again. When they left, the two cleared up the misunderstanding from the other day. It turned out that the hot girl he met was just missed by a friend of his father's, but someone was jealous and angry. You have to be in love to be jealous, folks. The two even ended up holding hands and publicly strolling around town. So they're officially back on the path of love. Everyone, let's push the boat for our main couple. On the way to take the drunk Xiao Yu back to his room, the class president ran into Su Miao jogging in the yard. He asked her why she wasn't joining the class and was here alone, but afraid that she would misunderstand him as stalking her. He said a few words and then left, truly a timid four-eyed guy. The next day was the day Mi-run went to Hang Changji for a job interview. She tried to choose her clothes and prepare herself mentally for this important event. The directors were very pleased with her soulful model, but her resume said she was studying business administration, and the company only hired people who study design, so she naturally failed the interview. Depressed, she went to a coffee shop to sit and feel less sad, and then she met a benefactor. She accidentally met the design director of Hang Changji. He was quite impressed with the design in her box, so he agreed to let her register. He told her to come to the company in 2 weeks for a trial period. Mi-run was overjoyed and immediately called her boyfriend to tell him the news. She arranged to go for bubble tea tonight to chat. She boasted that she had been accepted into Hang Changji and wanted to borrow his math notes to study. From now on, she must be determined to try harder in her career and studies. Zhong Wei also mentioned that he would be opening a store soon. Mi-run heard that the whole school had a few days off for the weekend. Zhong Wei went home to have dinner with his father and Aunt Bai. Because she likes the Thai royal style, the two of them also had to reluctantly go along with it. After dinner, Mi-run immediately started studying. She was determined to be equal to her boyfriend. She couldn't be too far behind him. Zhao Gu returned to her hometown to visit her parents for a few days. Her family has a tradition of favoring sons over daughters, so the dinner wasn't very pleasant. The workers repairing the store for Zhong Wei complained that the pay was too low, so they went on strike. Therefore, Zhong Wei and department head Chi Chao had to personally finish the remaining work. Since her daughter returned home, she had always been diligently locking herself in her room to study, making her father extremely worried. This isn't our usual daughter Mi-run. Could she be depressed? Is she unhappy? And that's why she's studying so frantically? Afraid that his daughter was becoming a recluse, her father immediately kicked her out and told her to go out and play until evening before returning. Wandering around, not knowing where to go, she remembered that when they were in high school, Zhong Wei had buried a metal box under a tree in the park. Curious about what was inside, she went to dig it up. It turned out to be a commemorative photo of the two of them when they first started dating, looking super cute. Wandering around, she accidentally met Zhong Wei, seeing him working hard at repairing a store. She thought that the previous rumors about him being a rich young master of the Zhong family group with fancy cars and endless money were all just nonsense. She didn't expect Zhong Wei's life to be so difficult that he had to work even on his days off. She slipped him some money, told him to keep going, and then left, truly a poor president in the legend. Mi-run returned home and begged her mother for more pocket money. She recounted her poverty, hunger, and coldness to soften her mother's heart, probably asking for more money for her boyfriend. But no matter what she said, her mother wouldn't give her any more. Out of options, she turned to her father. Knowing that her father had a secret fund, she didn't hesitate to ask. Loving his precious daughter, her father gave her almost all of his secret fund. In her room, she started imagining that giving money to Zhong Wei might make him feel inferior and disrespected. Mi-run immediately called her boyfriend to check on him, but Zhong Wei went out to buy things and left his phone at home. Department head Chi Chao didn't know and hung up, which made her think her suspicions were correct. The next day, Zhong Wei was busy cleaning the store, so he couldn't go to class. Mi-run worried and waited for him all morning outside the men's dormitory. Afraid that Zhong Wei might think he was being looked down upon with the act of giving him money yesterday, Mi-run proactively demanded the money back. Seeing him pull out a pile of small change, Mi-run almost cried. Mi-run started her internship at Hang Changji. On the first day, the green banana-colored manager kept gossiping about Mi-run, criticizing her for failing from the very beginning because she studied a different major from design, and that she was lucky to have the director's help. Otherwise, how could she be sitting here? While feeling down because of those words, she bumped into department head Chi Chao outside. Last time, she saw him handing out flyers in the mall with Zhong Wei, so she thought he was a real estate agent working a side job. Here, because he wanted to keep the young master's secret. Chi Chao went along with the story Mi Ren made up. It was bad luck that they met the design director just as he came out. The two, like fire and water, argued about sales and other things. The director later went into a meeting and his attitude was completely different from before, much more irritable. Probably because of his anger with Chi Chao. Everyone's drawings were criticized as bad, except for Mi Ren's drawing, which the director praised, making the other colleagues extremely angry. The director asked her if she knew Chi Chao or Zhong Wei, but she lied, saying she only knew them, not close. She didn't know that this director was competing with Zhong Wei in sales. After work, Mi Ren stopped by her boyfriend's place to play, but she only secretly looked at him from afar. From Xiao Yu's story, she learned that there would be a basketball game tomorrow, so their room would be empty. She was planning something unexpected for Zhong Wei. Zhong Wei's Wuji store was ready for its grand opening tomorrow. He wanted to invite Mi Ren to join in the fun, but she refused. With his handsome appearance and skillful eloquence, Zhong Wei introduced the warming companion cat product very successfully. Just on the first day, there were many people coming to inquire about buying the warming cat model, hoping that in the coming days sales will increase rapidly. Early in the morning, Mi Ren was waiting outside the men's dormitory building, waiting for Xiao Yu and the others to leave. She immediately disguised herself, intending to fool the security guard and break into Zhong Wei's room. As soon as she entered, she saw the room reeking of garbage, thrown around everywhere. Boys' rooms are indeed extremely messy. She started cleaning up the mess, folding blankets, clothes, sweeping everything, even washing the stinky socks Xiao Yu had under Zhong Wei's pillow. Xiao Yu and the class president, when they returned, were extremely surprised, not believing this was the pigsty they lived in. They even imagined that a fairy had appeared to clean up. With Xiao Yu's street smarts, he immediately thought of Mi Ren, thinking that she had been asking about Zhong Wei for the past few days. So he guessed that Mi Ren was hired to do this. Just like that, the next day, she came to clean their room again, this time even fixing the hairdryer and air conditioner. She's truly a multi-talented girl. After cleaning up, she intentionally left a pair of cat-shaped slippers for Zhong Wei to wear. The group returned to the room and were amazed for the second time, not expecting the fairy to be so good. Zhong Wei looked at the cat slippers and immediately knew the fairy was his crush. Because he was given cute cat slippers, whether it was going to class at school or going to work at the company, Zhong Wei always wore them. Love truly makes people blind. The next day, the fairy continued to come to the men's dormitory to clean her boyfriend's room. But today, there was unexpectedly an inspection team. They were very satisfied because this room was kept very clean. Mi Ren panicked, not knowing where to hide, and climbed out onto the balcony windowsill. The students below saw her and started to get curious. They shouted and asked her who she came to the men's dormitory to meet, probably her boyfriend. The management saw the danger and said they would discipline both of them. Because she was afraid of affecting Zhong Wei, she lied and said she came to find Xiao Yu. Zhong Wei saw everyone pushing the ship for the other couple and was very angry. Xiao Yu asked her when she started a relationship with Zhong Wei, "This time, I won't take the blame for you. If you like dating hot boys and then end up heartbroken, don't come crying to me." Mi Ren was tired all day and got sick, and she was also disciplined by the school for repeatedly entering the men's dormitory without permission. Xiao Yu wasn't much better off. He had always been self-conscious about his short stature. While playing basketball with his friends, a collision caused the height-increasing insoles in his shoes to fly out. Needless to say, his friends laughed in his face. Xiao Yu went to the pharmacy to buy bandages and ran into Su Miao, who was buying medicine for Mi Ren. She looked at him with daggers in her eyes for daring to flirt with her friend. It's a pity that he kept getting blamed on. Zhong Wei went to the company and was congratulated by everyone on the opening of the Wuji store. Sales were very good, but he was still sulking about the incident in the men's dormitory. Chi Chao advised him to make his relationship public, so that people wouldn't misunderstand anymore. Meanwhile, her roommates took care of Mi Ren and kept asking her about her love life. She couldn't hide it anymore, so she confessed to dating Zhong Wei and asked Xiao Yu to take the fall. While they were chatting, they heard the school's loudspeaker. Zhong Wei is asking Mi Ren to meet him at the park. He gave her his jacket to wear and held her hand for a walk around the school to make their relationship public for everyone to know. Xiao Yu saw them, intending to push the ship, and took some pictures of them. Just a little hand-holding stroll with her crush, and the news that she was dating the school's hot boy spread everywhere. Some were jealous. Others congratulated her, saying she was lucky to have snagged a hot boy who was smart and handsome like Zhong Wei. Xiao Yu was now being teased by his friends as a single person without a girlfriend. Wandering around, eating ice cream, she saw Zhong Wei dressed up and stepping into a fancy car with a woman. The nosy Xiao Yu quickly recorded the scene. It turned out that Aunt Bai came to pick up Zhong Wei to go to a coffee shop to show off to her close friends. These aunts loved to brag about their children's academic achievements. Aunt Bai boasted that she had a grown-up son who was both smart and a hot boy, the school's ambassador. Hearing that, the other aunts' eyes widened, and they were speechless. Zhong Wei also took the opportunity to ask his mother for some extra pocket money to go on a date with his girlfriend. The gossip king Xiao Yu even secretly followed them to the cafe and took a few pictures as a souvenir. Returning, the first thing he did was plan to snitch on Zhong Wei to Mi-run. He's truly setting someone's house on fire. Xiao Yu said that Zhong Wei was only pretending to be from a rich family, but she didn't pay much attention to that discovery. The two also arranged to meet tonight to return the jacket to Zhong Wei. As for Zhao Gu, a few days after breaking up with Shi Ho, she got to know a Western man in the class she tutored. The two are probably in the flirting stage now. Mi-ren came to give the jacket to her boyfriend as planned, and also said that this jacket was washed with the same fabric softener as hers, so it smelled very good. Zhong Wei excitedly went up to show Xiao Yu and said, "So what if you're single? Smelling this special scent must make you jealous of other people's love." So the gossip Saint Xiao Yu devised a plan to sabotage on the school forum, spreading rumors that Zhong Wei was a poor hot boy who had to do hard labor, and was even being supported by a rich sugar mommy. The next day at school, everyone was talking about the rumor that Zhong Wei was pretending to be rich. They gossiped and then laughed gleefully, making Mi-run lose her temper. She stood up on a chair, holding chopsticks, and shouted, "So what if Zhong Wei is from a poor family? He works with his own two hands. He hasn't stolen anything from any of you. So why are you gossiping about him?" Keeping that up until the afternoon, she even went with Zhong Wei to eat mixed noodles to comfort and encourage him. Her two talkative friends, Luo Si and Su Miao, also came to eat with them. They kept asking Zhong Wei if the story was true or not. Being asked so much, he also lied that he was in a difficult situation. His parents were divorced, he had to live with his stepmother, and he hadn't eaten meat in a month. Zhong Wei's touching but slightly exaggerated story brought tears to the girl's eyes. After eating, everyone returned to the classroom. Now, love makes people blind, so no matter who invites him to go somewhere, Zhong Wei doesn't want to go anymore. All day, he just wants to be by his girlfriend's side. The class president saw Su Miao's hair falling on his hand and gently removed it, but unfortunately, that action was misunderstood, and he suddenly got slapped in the face for no reason. Zhao Gu received a phone call from her mother saying that the whole family would be coming to the city to visit, but she didn't care much and only wanted to call her Western boyfriend. At the movie theater, Luo Si caught her boyfriend going on a date with another young and beautiful girl. Horrified, Luo Si ran to confront them, all three face to face. But unfortunately, it was all a misunderstanding. The other girl already had a partner. It's true that too much love turns into jealousy. The next day, our main couple had their first date. They took a bus to a popular location voted online, but the reality was far from the imagination. The scenery was desolate, remote, and nothing special. Even the meal was skewers dipped in hot pot, which was extremely expensive. They also didn't catch the last bus back to the city. It was truly a fateful date. Finally, Mi-ren came up with the idea of renting 2 bicycles to return, both saving costs and being romantic, except that it would take more than 4 hours to get home. Zhong Wei saw that his girlfriend was always calculating to save money for him, so he told her the truth. "I'm from a rich family, my conditions aren't that bad." But Mi-ren didn't quite believe that story, so she still decided to cycle back. They cycled all night, almost until dawn, before arriving back at school. Zhong Wei was exhausted and weary of this type of dating. He decided to publicly reveal his true identity on the school forum. The whole class was shocked to learn that Zhong Wei was from a rich family, and even the heir to the famous Zhong family group. Xiao Yu, who had previously dared to write an expose about him, also had his account permanently banned. Out of options, the gossip saint had to go in person and bow his head in apology for his previous shallow actions. Xiao Yu admitted that he did it because he was jealous of Zhong Wei. He promised from now on to write many good articles praising the love of Zhong Wei and Mi-ren. Mi-ren was initially a little upset because her boyfriend had hidden his identity for so long, but after thinking about it, she naturally snagged such a perfect boyfriend. What more could she ask for? She was still excitedly choosing the next date location for the two of them in the middle of the night, and even texted each other to set matching romantic avatars. Every day at school, she bought low-sugar milk tea for her boyfriend to drink, truly wanting to show their affection to the whole class. The couple also moved their seats next to each other to be more affectionate. Every chance they got, the two of them chatted and gossiped, making the teacher pay attention. Zhong Wei went to the company to brag about his sales achievements to his father. Thanks to the experience store, Wu Ji had helped increase sales several times in the second quarter. The father was very proud and bragged to his subordinates, saying that his talented son had raised capital himself to open his own store, but he didn't know that the money originally came from his own pocket. The son asked his mother for money, the mother asked her husband for money, a full circle. The sales of the design director's side were also very good. The gossipy ladies started talking about Zhong Wei's store, and they sneered that it would close down after a while. Zhong Wei sat outside waiting for Mi Run to finish the meeting. The design director started to feel that their relationship was not normal. She was worried that if their relationship became known to everyone in the company, there would be gossip. The two secretly held hands and ran to a restaurant. While eating, they were also not left in peace, as the two people sitting at the next table whispered, "The girl must have pursued the guy." Feeling devalued, Miran also felt a little sad. Su Miao was about to go live on her next live stream. She asked Mi Run to buy some things for her to use on the stream, but because Mi Run was busy going on dates, she had to ask the class president. The items needed to be bought were very far from the school, but the class president didn't mind the distance and still bought them all. Su Miao was very touched by his actions. At the gym, Mi Run told Su Miao about her relationship. Had she been too proactive in doing things for Zhong Wei? Was she afraid that he would not appreciate it and become cold to her later? Su Miao heard that and advised her, be more indifferent and cold to Zhong Wei. Said and done, she ignored her boyfriend. When eating, going out, or participating in class activities, she intentionally didn't want to be involved. Seeing his girlfriend's strange behavior, Zhong Wei was also very panicked. He tried to act cute and whiny with her. When eating, he was also ignored, texting to ask and care, or saying he was tired, but his girlfriend still ignored him. After exchanging opinions with the class president, he was afraid that Mi Run had a new love or was tired of him. The two girls had something difficult to talk about, so she was behaving so strangely. At Hang Changji, the two Zhong, father and son, had a not-so-pleasant conversation. Zhong Wei wanted his father to provide capital to expand the scale of the Wuji cat store, but assessing that the payback period was quite long, he did not agree. Department head Chi Chao had to encourage his subordinates to work overtime to find more ideas. Luo Si returned to the dormitory, walking and laughing nonstop. It turned out that she had made up with her boyfriend after the misunderstanding the other day. In love, you need to be proactive. If you're too indifferent and distant, it's easy to break up. Hearing that, Miran began to waver about her actions towards Zhong Wei. These past few days, Zhao Gu has been busy with beautiful dresses, probably getting ready to meet the Western man. The next day, Mi Run went to the company to submit her design drafts for the new forest project. All of her designs were rejected by the director, saying they were too childish. While sadly leaving, Zhong Wei brought a fancy car to pick her up. He wanted the two of them to go on a date to mend their relationship. But having just been scolded by her boss, she wasn't in the mood to eat, watch movies, or anything with him. Seeing that he was being nice, but she was acting out, made Zhong Wei very upset. The two argued fiercely in the car. Mi Rin cried and told him about the design pressure at the company, also admitting that she had been intentionally cold for the past few days because she was afraid of losing value by being too proactive. After speaking, she gave Zhong Wei a kiss on the cheek as a makeup gesture. The race to become the ambassador for the Winter Olympics for Su Miao was in the final stretch. She didn't know that the class president was secretly calling on his comic book fans to vote for her. In the evening, when he saw Su Miao live streaming underwater, he secretly went to watch. Seeing Su Miao motionless under the lake for a long time, the class president worriedly jumped in to check. It turned out that she was just showing off her breath-holding skills underwater for everyone to see. She didn't blame the class president for interrupting her because he was worried and jumped in to save her. Su Miao was touched and gave him a towel and carefully told him not to get sick. The voting results were in, and as expected, Su Miao won first place. She was overjoyed and decided to invite the class president to a meal because of his actions at the lake that night. While eating, Su Miao accidentally saw Zhao Gu on a date with the Western man. Going on a date with a guy is different. She put on makeup and took off her glasses, looking fabulous. The waitress unexpectedly came out and gave Xiaogu a pair of earrings. The waitress thought they were hers, dropped when she ate with the Western guy the day before. This proves that this Western guy has brought many beautiful young girls here to date. Aunt Bai came to the company to bring lunch for the president, but he wasn't in the office, so she called Zhong Wei to come and eat it so it wouldn't go to waste. If there's good food, you have to call your loved one to share it. Department head Chi Chao also accidentally got to enjoy the food. Mirin kept praising Aunt Bai's cooking, saying she was young and beautiful, and that she must have many suitors. Being flattered, Aunt Bai was very pleased. Only later, when she heard Zhong Wei call her mom, did Mirin get a little startled. Everyone was laughing and having fun when the design director walked in, shattering the atmosphere. Knowing that she couldn't hide it anymore, Mirin confessed that she and Zhong Wei were in love. However, she asserted that she was not the type of person to reveal trade secrets to other groups. Hearing that, the director was still not very pleased. Her design drafts, therefore, had to be revised many times before being approved. The weekend arrived, and the girls all dressed up to go out on dates with their boyfriends, except for Su Miao, who still didn't have a boyfriend. She was known as the school's beauty queen, but now she was single. It's sad, but oh well. Being alone in the dormitory was too boring, so Su Miao invited the class president to eat with her. She kept chattering nonstop about the popular romance novels recently. Who would have thought that the author she admired was standing right in front of her? If she found out the truth later, how surprised would she be? The main couple dated all day, only returning late at night. They were about to be affectionate for everyone to see when the security guard interrupted them. Thinking the opportunity to show off their love was still there, Luo Si then came to Mirin's room, getting advice from her friends on how to French kiss romantically. Just thinking about it made Mirin blush. The next day at school, a dispute broke out between two classes. It turned out that they had fought because of losing a game. The two classes had always disliked each other, so the 4I class president came up with the solution of holding a cycling competition on the weekend. The losing class would have to send a formal apology to the other class. Everyone agreed and dispersed the crowd, but it seemed that not many people in his class wanted to participate because the other class had 3 people from the cycling club. That's like throwing eggs against rocks. Our beauty queen Su Miao seems to be different now. She used to not care about the class's group activities, but now, she's very enthusiastic about finding cycling candidates to help the class president to warm up their relationship to a new level. Mirin and Zhong Wei went to see a movie together. When it came to the suspenseful scenes, the other girls snuggled up to their boyfriends, but she didn't. Out of options, Zhong Wei pretended to be a weak prince. As a result, he got what he wanted. The two kissed, a sight for sore eyes. Back home, they even texted each other, arranging to watch a horror movie next time. Because it's fun, and they want to pretend so they can kiss again someday. The cycling race had arrived. The class president thoughtfully bought water to support everyone's spirits. Su Miao came to cycle, but didn't know how and still tried to participate for fun. She'll probably finish last. While everyone was following the predetermined route, Luo Si and Zhao Gu turned and cycled up the mountain. The reason was that Luo Si suspected her boyfriend was hiking with another girl. Indeed, the scene she didn't want to see appeared in front of her. He was even carrying the other girl's bag while denying that he was innocent. Luo Si thought her boyfriend was cheating on her, so in a fit of anger, she kicked the bag and hit the side chick. The classes already had many disagreements, and now, with this catching in the act scene, it became even more complicated. Mirin spoke up. Let's solve this with a poetry battle, to be civilized. The losing class will have to accept and bow their heads in apology. Anyway, this is a private matter of love. We shouldn't make a scene here anymore. And of course, the bright candidate for the poetry battle would be Zhong Wei, the best student in the class. The group went to the cafeteria to eat, drink, and rest. Luo Si kept crying and telling the story. Even though her boyfriend went hiking, he complained that he was tired and there were mosquitoes, but today, going with a girl, he was very fast. It's infuriating. If it were me, I would be furious too. Mirin received the news that Zhong Wei had won the poetry battle, and she was very happy. She intended to run out and hug and kiss him affectionately, but she accidentally hugged the cleaning lady. You have to laugh, even if you don't want to. And the group advised Luo Si not to be sad, to leave that two-timing, despicable guy. He doesn't deserve Luo Si's love. While chatting enthusiastically, Su Miao raised her hand high, causing the plate of food to fall on her head. Oh no, disaster. She just started to have a slightly better impression, and now the class president is in trouble with her again. When leaving, Zhong Wei took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention and lifted his girlfriend up, hugging and kissing her affectionately. He considered it a reward for winning the poetry battle for the class. Returning to the dormitory, her friends always advised Luo C to think carefully. Why would he make his girlfriend apologize to the side chick in front of everyone? He should be dumped, the sooner the less pain. But I think this Luo C is very weak-willed. There's a high chance that if he flatters her a few times, she'll forgive him right away. The scene shifts to the men's dormitory. Zhong Wei was sitting and relaxing when he received a call from an unknown number. The caller was a young girl, introducing herself as Jia. It's unclear what kind of relationship they have, but Zhong Wei immediately rushed off, not returning until late at night, and his behavior looked very suspicious. He intended to say something to Mi Run, but then he didn't. The next day, Department Head Chi Chao's group was having a very tense meeting. Over the past time, everyone had to work overtime to find ideas, which was very tiring. All of their design works were criticized by Zhong Wei. The team was already small, while the workload was large. Zhong Wei only cared about quality, leading to the members feeling discouraged. Mi Run was luckier. Her design work was selected as the new product of the third quarter. She was happy and invited her boyfriend to celebrate. Zhong Wei brought her a very cute model design box as a gift. Intending to take a photo as a souvenir, Mi Run received a friend request from Jia. Here, the truth was revealed. At the beginning of the movie, we know that in childhood, when Zhong Wei went to bury the dead cat, he was teased by his friends. A girl who was good at martial arts appeared to save him. Zhong Wei, until he grew up, still mistakenly thought that person was Mi Run. And Mi Run also wanted to get to know him, so she pretended, claiming to be that girl. That girl is Jia. In high school, she even returned to school to find Zhong Wei. Worried that everything would be exposed, not knowing how to face it, Mi Run demanded to transfer schools. This is the reason for the breakup without a word many years ago with Zhong Wei. Jia's return once again made Mi Run very confused. Everywhere she went, everything she did, she was haunted by the thought of Jia following her, to the point that she even ran into the men's restroom by mistake. A guy took the opportunity to get to know her, running out and making a scene, forcing Mi Run to take responsibility. Luckily, Zhong Wei arrived just in time to save her. For many days after, no matter where she went, Mi Run was always worried about meeting Jia again. It's true that doing something wrong always makes you live in fear. While walking, the two ran into Luo C holding hands with her boyfriend. I knew right away that this girl couldn't escape the net of love. The gossip king Xiao Yu still had his old habits. Seeing that Mi Run had been avoiding Zhong Wei lately, he dared to write an article saying that Zhong Wei's kissing technique was poor. The class president saw everyone eating but didn't dare to sit with them because he was afraid of getting slapped again after the incident of spilling food on Su Miao's head the other day. Avoiding, yes, but knowing that his crush had a live stream at a coffee shop, he still secretly went to watch. This time, he even went to curl his hair and dressed up smartly, unlike his usual self. It would have been better if he hadn't curled his hair. After curling, his head looked like a bird's nest, so funny. Su Miao live streamed, talking about the origin of various cakes, and she became so engrossed that she burst into tears. The class president saw this and ran out to comfort her, crying with her. It was this gentle and caring affection from the class president that helped the two resolve their previous misunderstandings. The two of them kept glancing at each other and smiling shyly. They'll become a couple soon. Indeed, riding the momentum, the class president decided to transform into a romantic novel's male lead today, planning to make a heart shape to confess to Su Miao. But unfortunately, he made it with another girl. So embarrassing, 4 eyes. Undeterred, he continued with the plan of transforming into a domineering and cool CEO to woo the hot girl. But the result he received was a basketball to the head. Still not giving up, the class president transformed into a cold hot boy while walking and spraying mosquito repellent like a crazy person. However, his style wasn't bad and caught Su Miao's attention. The news that the class president had been acting differently lately, intending to woo Su Miao, had spread throughout the class. Xiao Yu took the opportunity to snitch to Mi Run that Zhong Wei hadn't returned to the dormitory all night last night. Just then, Zhong Wei arrived, looking quite tense. He also accidentally dropped a photo from his book, but I didn't get to see what it was because Zhong Wei put it away too quickly. And Mi Run felt uneasy throughout the class that day. After class, the two of them went to the park to feed the cat. She asked Zhong Wei if he liked her because of that childhood incident, but Zhong Wei denied it. He liked Mi Ren's current personality. Zhao Gu went out and accidentally saw the Western guy hugging a girl intimately. She called him, and he lied that he was seriously ill. How can you be bedridden and smiling brightly with a girl? What a guy. It's true that in this world, trust is something too extravagant. Today is the final exam for advanced math. Mi Ren overslept, but luckily still arrived in time for the exam. The exam was too difficult, so Xiao Yu asked Luo Si to throw him a lifeline, but it didn't reach, landing right next to Su Miao. Unfortunately, when she was about to pick it up and give it to Xiao Yu, the teacher caught her. To save his crush, the class president claimed that the lifeline was his. The penalty for using a lifeline is to be disciplined and retake the subject. It's no joke. At this time, Zhong Wei also just ran in to take the exam. Lately, his behavior has been very abnormal. It's unknown what big secret he's hiding. At the end of the period, Zhong Wei went to his girlfriend's place and said not to be angry anymore. Lately, he's just been too busy with store matters, and he promises to spend more time with her in a few days. But as soon as he stepped outside, Mi Ren met two classmates. They said they had just seen Zhong Wei eating and dating another very pretty girl. And it was true, Zhong Wei was hanging out with Jia. It seemed that whatever she asked him to do, he readily agreed. Jia said that in a few days, she would return to the US, so during this time, she just wanted to be with Zhong Wei more. When he went to get pastries for Jia, Mi Ren called to check on him. Jia didn't hesitate to pick up the phone and introduce herself. Mi Ren sadly went to see a movie alone, but she couldn't watch anything. She just sat there, thinking about the past few days, crying her eyes out. After the stressful exam, the whole class had a few days off. Some were busy traveling with their boyfriends. Others were packing to go home to visit their families. Mi Ren also packed everything and went home to her parents. Zhong Wei went to the dormitory to see her off to the bus. Mi Ren now knew the whole truth, so she couldn't contain her anger. She demanded a breakup, believing that Zhong Wei was too timing and no longer loved her. For the past few days, he had been deceiving her and secretly dating Jia. Moreover, she was just an imposter, not the friend who helped him in his childhood. No matter how Zhong Wei explained, she didn't want to listen. Mi Ren was so angry that she stormed off, leaving her suitcase behind. As for Luo Si, this vacation was very important to her, because today was her future mother-in-law's birthday, and it could also be seen as an introduction to relatives and close friends of the family. The future mother-in-law initially praised Luo Si, saying that she was a sentimental, well-spoken girl, who knew how to care, love, and take care of others. But in the end, she said she wanted to adopt her as a daughter, meaning that she would be siblings with her son. Isn't that infuriating? Who wants to be siblings with her son? Mi Ren stood up and said, "The fortune teller said that I clash with my father and mother, so you don't want me to be your daughter-in-law." It seems that this mother-in-law deliberately said that because she didn't want Luo Si to be her daughter-in-law. The despicable boyfriend chased after her and scolded her for being rude. Well, leave this family early and be free. Mi Ren went home to her parents, but she was always heavy-hearted and unhappy. She went out to drink with her roommates to relieve her sorrow. The three girls all had their own worries. Luo Si was heartbroken because her future mother-in-law kept wanting to adopt her as a daughter, and her boyfriend was selfish, only thinking about his own feelings and not knowing how hurt and humiliated his girlfriend was. Su Miao was having a headache with the class president. She thought he liked her, so he had been wooing and flirting with her for days, but suddenly he became cold and indifferent. So Su Miao was planning to woo the class president back. And Mi Ren also recounted the whole story between her and Zhong Wei and the girl named Jia. In another development, Zhao Gu, after discovering that the Western guy was a jerk, was still optimistic as if nothing had happened. She still went to meet him and his friends, partying hard at the bar. Truly, she was born with a strong and cold personality. I wish I could learn a little of her personality. Accidentally, Zhao Gu's eyes met with another Western guy. The two started chatting, getting to know each other, and becoming friends. The next morning, when she sobered up, Mi Ren remembered that last night, while drunk, she had angrily unfriended Zhong Wei. Well, it's done, so she just has to accept it. She took advantage of the school break to work at Hang Changji, but the main purpose was to see if she would meet Zhong Wei there. Every day, she intentionally bought coffee for department head Chi Chao, but in reality, she wanted to drop by to look for her boyfriend. They had been angry with each other for a whole month. Chi Chao had good intentions and advised his boss to let it go and proactively contact Mi Ren, But Zhong Wei's ego was also very big, and he absolutely refused to give in. The new semester had arrived, welcoming the students back to school. The four-eyed class president was waiting at the gate to help his crush with her suitcase. Luosi immediately knew that she had made up with her boyfriend. Zhao Gu was like a completely different person. She boasted that she had a new boyfriend who was a foreign professor. No wonder she upgraded her appearance so much. Miren was given her luggage back by Zhong Wei without a word exchanged between them. The first lesson already had the presence of Jiaer. She told Zhong Wei that she would not return to the US but would complete her university studies here. Zhong Wei didn't care much, only warning her not to do anything to affect Miren, and then left. Zhong Wei went to find Miren to explain that he had no idea that Jiaer would suddenly come to school, but Miren only coldly replied that they had broken up now, and it was best to keep their distance. Sadly, going to the company, she was urgently summoned by the design director. Her model work in the New Forest was not well received by the market. In other words, it would not be able to generate sales. Therefore, the director decided to fire her. This guy probably also had some part in wanting to use his official power to get personal revenge. Here, Miren sadly carried her belongings and left, then met department head Chi Chao. Knowing that she had been fired, he immediately called Zhong Wei to inform him. When she got back to school, she was so preoccupied that she dropped everything. A guy nearby saw it, intending to get to know her, so he ran to help her. The guy was also kind enough to buy Miren an ice cream cone to cheer her up. Just then, that image fell into Zhong Wei's sight. The news that they had gone their separate ways quickly spread throughout the school. Now, when they saw each other, they avoided each other like the plague. Every time Miren was late for class, he no longer helped her fool the teacher like before. To get revenge for that, Miren accepted an invitation to watch a movie with the guy who was flirting with her, Meng Xian. Zhong Wei didn't say anything, but he was jealous inside. He immediately asked the Gossip King to investigate Meng Xian's background. Beauty Queen Su Miao has now fallen into the love net with the four-eyed class president, everyone. She's always creating opportunities to approach him. This four-eyed guy is secretly delighted, but he still tries to act cold and put on a show. When the class is disorderly or chaotic, or when people are late for class or returning to the dormitory late, Su Miao steps in to solve the problem for her crush. Truly a master of love, baiting the hook. The investigation into Meng Xian's background that Zhong Wei requested was also completed. This afternoon, his class just happened to have a friendly basketball game with Meng Xian's class. This was his chance to show his skills on the court. The intense match began. Before going on the court, Meng Xian even made a heart gesture towards Miren, making Zhong Wei furious. Meng Xian's design class had a group of beautiful girls cheering them on, and the ace was Jiaer. The two teams competed fiercely, and the victory was leaning towards Meng Xian's design class. Seeing that the situation was not very favorable, Su Miao came up with a way to energize her management class. Our girls started dancing a fairy dance, fueling the boys. Seeing the huge female fan base, the guys played much more fiercely, especially Zhong Wei. Having loved to energize him, he kept scoring. In the last seconds of the match, the score was tied. The two classes drew. Miren left, and Zhong Wei immediately chased after her. He asked about her relationship with Meng Xian, but Miren questioned him about his relationship with Jiaer, blaming him for letting her answer his phone and then going on dates with her. Zhong Wei said he met all her unreasonable demands only because of you, because he was afraid that Jiaer would bother you, making you break up with him, so he had to do it. The two said a few words and were like fire and water again. The next day, Jiaer came to find Miren and said some really provoking, challenging words. She said that Zhong Wei was originally supposed to be hers, demanding that. Miren returned Zhong Wei to her. I'm afraid a storm is about to hit here soon. Our girls war over a guy. Miren sadly returned to her room and recounted the encounter with Jiaer to her group of girlfriends. The whole group started planning to help Miren regain joy in her life. Besides the boring school hours in class, the group organized many interesting time-killing activities. The girls laid out their knitting and embroidery supplies, and when they got bored of that, they started learning makeup, smearing their faces with all sorts of colors. That day, the four girls even dressed up extravagantly, determined to intimidate Jiaer's group. As a result, it was still the majority overwhelming the minority. The guy, Meng Xian, diligently brought bubble tea to his crush every day, and he didn't forget to buy some for her three friends. He knew how to win people over too. Zhong Wei saw this and was very annoyed, so he called Xiao Yu in for help. Whenever Meng Xian brought delicious food to the girls, Xiaoyu was assigned the task of interrupting, bringing other food for everyone. It goes without saying that it was all bought by Zhong Wei. That stingy Xiaoyu wouldn't have the money. A hidden needle in a bag will eventually come out, and Xiaoyu was forced to reveal who was giving the orders. Returning to the dormitory, Xiaoyu said their plan had been exposed. Wouldn't it be better if Zhong Wei turned enemies into friends and enlisted the help of the girls in the group? Wouldn't that be much more advantageous? No sooner said than done. Zhong Wei immediately arranged to meet the three gossipy ladies. After explaining that the reason he agreed to go along with Jia Er's dating demands was because he was thinking of Mi Run, afraid that she would break up with him and disappear again. So he had to try to appease Jia Er until she went to America. Unexpectedly, Jia Er changed her mind and flipped out, making things as bad as they are now. Taking pity on Zhong Wei's situation, the group decided to help. The first plan was to create an opportunity for the main couple to meet. Zhong Wei saw Mi Ren reading a book in the library and tried to get close, but unexpectedly, the meddling Meng Xian appeared. Mi Ren got angry and left. The next day, the university held a meeting, allowing parents to visit the school with the students. Mi Ren's parents also came to visit their daughter. Zhong Wei gave an excellent speech in front of both families. He approached his future in-laws very naturally, and then proactively invited everyone to have a meal together. Of course, seeing such a charming, handsome, and talented young man, how could they refuse? To ease the awkwardness, Mi Ren invited her whole group of friends to join them at the table. After just a few minutes of brief conversation, the smooth-talking Zhong Wei quickly won over his girlfriend's parents. They even enthusiastically encouraged their daughter, saying she needed to find a boyfriend. Zhong Wei, like a fish in water, was delighted, eating and smiling gleefully. The atmosphere was cheerful when Jia Er suddenly appeared to disrupt things. She came closer and introduced herself as Zhong Wei's girlfriend. Now it was Mi Ren's turn to be furious. After eating, everyone gradually left. At the door, they saw Jia Er hugging Zhong Wei tightly. In reality, Jia Er was deliberately doing that to cause a rift between the young couple. Her girlfriend saw this and turned around, deciding not to intervene or help Zhong Wei reconcile with Mi Ren anymore. The next day, Mi Ren went to a pet shop to get some inspiration for her model making. Zhong Wei came to the dormitory to find Mi Ren and explain yesterday's misunderstanding, but he received a call from Jia Er. She said she had found his injured cat, telling him to come quickly to take it to the hospital. The place they went to was the same pet shop where Mi Ren was. Seeing this scene, no amount of explanation would work. Seeing that things had gone too far, Zhong Wei bluntly said that he had no feelings for Jia Er, that their childhood past was long gone, and that the only person he loved now was Mi Ren. Mi Ren returned to school and met Meng Xian. She also made it clear that she had no feelings for him, and that she had only been using him to make Zhong Wei jealous. Today was her friend Zhao Gu's birthday. The girls planned to throw a surprise birthday party for their close friend. Zhao Gu dressed up nicely to go out, hoping to go on a date and celebrate with her new boyfriend, the professor, but he said he was busy and couldn't come. Su Miao suddenly ran over, announcing that the dormitory's drain pipe was broken and everything was terribly flooded. Zhao Gu, being a bookworm, was worried about her books and rushed back to check. But this was just a trick to create a birthday surprise for Zhao Gu, everyone. Mi Ren was assigned the task of buying the cake before Su Miao could trick the main character into returning. Suddenly, she received a text message from Zhong Wei saying he needed to meet her urgently. It turned out that he wanted to tell Mi Ren that Zhao Gu's professor boyfriend was a certified promiscuous person. He also took this opportunity to say he wanted to start over with Mi Ren, truly taking advantage of the situation more than a pro. But her mind was now preoccupied with Zhao Gu's situation, so she didn't hear a word he said. Mi Ren rushed back to the dormitory to deliver the cake, but it was too late. Even so, Zhao Gu was still very grateful for her friend's kindness. She also shared that after graduation, she would study abroad and work overseas. Her professor boyfriend had promised to provide for her and arrange everything for her there. Mi Ren, worried that her friend would be deceived, told her the truth. That professor was actually a bad guy who specialized in emotional manipulation. Zhao Gu heard this and remained calm as if there was no problem. It turned out she already knew her boyfriend's true colors, but as long as he was capable, financially stable, and could help her in the future, she didn't care about anything else. Her friends advised her not to blindly sacrifice her lifelong happiness just for her career. But Zhao Gu had grown up in a family that favored sons over daughters. Her parents only cared about her younger brother and ignored her. If she didn't do this, her life would be very difficult later on. Understanding Zhao Gu's situation, the group chased after her and gave her birthday gifts. No matter what happened later, their pure friendship would never change. The next day, Su Miao excitedly invited her classmates to watch the performance of the school's drama club. She was also given a small role in the excerpt, so she really hoped everyone would come to support her. And the class president also planned to take this opportunity to confess to his crush. This confidential information was reported to Mi Run by Zhong Wei, along with the news that the class president was the author of the popular romance novels. He planned to use this occasion to say, "Let's start over," but his timing was a little slow, so he missed the opportunity again. The class president dressed up like a Korean drama heartthrob, prepared candles and flowers, and got ready to confess to his crush. He even imagined the two of them having a romantic hugging and kissing ending. However, life isn't a dream. Mi Ren came and revealed the information she had just received, making Su Miao very angry. The plot points in the class president's novels were very similar to real life, so it was like using her as material for his stories. Therefore, the confession plan was a complete failure. The girls returned to their room and advised Su Miao not to be angry and miss out on a good guy like the class president. According to their analysis, after Zhao Gu and Su Miao, the next person to receive bad news could very well be Luo Si. At the same time, Luo Si's boyfriend was receiving an offer to share a room with a girl to save money. It seemed like Zhong Wei was about to have a chance to meet Mi Run for the third time. Luo Si was on edge every day. She was just worried that Zhong Wei would discover something bad related to her boyfriend. She probably wouldn't be able to live with it then. Sure enough, the harbinger of bad news struck. Zhong Wei said that Luo Si's boyfriend was renting a place with his mistress. Luo Si heard the news and tried to remain calm, even planning to buy things to congratulate him on his new home. Zhong Wei, with nothing better to do, went to pick up the four ladies, preparing to go beat up the cheater. Sitting in the car, Luo Si's heart was burning, trying to appear okay, but deep inside, her tears were an ocean. She hoped it was all just a misunderstanding. When they arrived, without a word, they rushed upstairs and rang the doorbell frantically. They all stormed in to see if there was any hanky-panky going on. Luo Si was very calm this time, asking her boyfriend for the whole story. He said that because his roommates played games too loudly, he wanted to move out to focus on his studies, and that there was no inappropriate relationship between him and the girl. Luo Si checked the rooms and things and believed him, but less than a minute later, she saw them cooking a lover's hot pot, preparing to eat together. She lost her composure, said goodbye, and ran away. Zhong Wei blocked the boyfriend's path and beat him up to vent his anger. Seeing a scratch on Zhong Wei's hand, Mi Ren got all worried. He played it up even more to gain her sympathy. For most of the way back, Luo Si cried her eyes out. She said she had promised her boyfriend that they would eat lover's hot pot together when they lived together, but now seeing him happily eating with his mistress broke her heart. Back at the dorm, Zhong Wei decided to go big or go home. He couldn't drag this out any longer. He took a cold shower and then turned the air conditioner on full blast to make himself catch a cold. The atmosphere in the whole classroom was now quite gloomy. The class president and Su Miao's thing was also over. She refused to forgive Four Eyes. And Zhong Wei kept coughing, successfully attracting his crush's attention. After class, the two men on the rooftop, Mi Ren begged him not to bring any more bad news to her dorm room. If he had any grudges, he could take it out on her. After saying that, she shoved a bag of medicine at Zhong Wei and left. The class president was now heartbroken, so he always looked gloomy and sad. He didn't feel like participating in the class's group activities anymore. His novel fans urged him to write the next chapter quickly, but he was in no mood. Su Miao, who had been following behind, witnessed the class president's distraught state. She ordered him to continue writing the story and then smiled and left. Indeed, the power of love is not to be underestimated. Just a few words from her, and the class president immediately wrote the next chapter. Mi Ren now also understood everything and wanted to make up with Zhong Wei. She arranged to meet him at the upcoming short film festival. The two girls were strolling back when they ran into the class president. Mi Ren went ahead, leaving some private space for them. This time, the class president mustered all his courage to confess to Su Miao. The two moved closer and kissed, to everyone's surprise. Finally, these two became a couple. We've been waiting forever. Our main couple waited for each other at the short film festival as planned. Mi Ren said she was on her way, passing by a construction site, and would be there soon. Suddenly, everyone panicked because there was a report that a nearby construction site had collapsed and someone was injured. Zhong Wei's legs were shaking, afraid of bad news. When he arrived and saw a leg wearing a white shoe crushed under bricks and stones, he panicked even more. Disregarding warnings and danger, he rushed in to dig. Luckily, it was just a mannequin. Mi-rin stood behind, witnessing everything. The two hugged each other tightly, thinking their lover had been hurt. What a relief. Mi-rin promised that from now on, she wouldn't give him the cold shoulder or let a third party affect their relationship. So they made up and kissed for everyone to see. Mi-rin and Su Miao were now sailing smoothly in their love lives. Only Luo Si was the saddest, because she had broken up with her boyfriend. He had moved on to the mistress he had been renting a place with. Zhao Gu had also received notification to prepare to study abroad in England. She still decided to sacrifice everything to follow that sleazy professor, hoping for a bright future. Zhao Gu called home to inform her mother that she was going to study abroad, but only received a few cold words in return. We don't have money. If you want to study abroad, you have to take care of it yourself. When you succeed over there, remember to bring your younger brother over to live with you. Really, I've never seen such a heartless mother. The next day, Luo Si's would-be mother-in-law suddenly came to the dormitory to find her. She had previously insulted Luo Si and only sarcastically said she wanted to adopt her. Yet now she still had the audacity to come and ask for help. Luo Si packed her belongings and announced that she would be moving out to take care of her boyfriend. After breaking up with her, he wasn't doing well with his mistress either. Those two were constantly arguing and disagreeing. Because of his anger, he accidentally slipped and fell down the stairs, breaking his arm. At school, he was humiliated by his lecturer, who was also the mistress's father. In a fit of anger, he even punched the lecturer in the face. At home, he was constantly pressured by his mother about all sorts of things. As a result, the doctor diagnosed him with anxiety disorder and depression. He now only wanted to see his girlfriend Luo Si again, so his mother had no choice but to swallow her pride and come ask for help. Luo Si was a sentimental person, and even if love was gone, loyalty remained, so she packed her bags and went to take care of her ex-boyfriend. Before Luo Si left, the girls spent a whole day playing together as a memento. They sat and shared their future plans. Zhao Gu was still going to study abroad in England. Mi-rin, despite being fired from Hangchangji, was now designing online and receiving a lot of support. Su Miao and the class president's relationship was, needless to say, sweeter than honey. Only Luo Si was a little sad. The next day, Luo Si moved to her ex-boyfriend's house to take care of him. He was overjoyed to see her. His would-be mother-in-law was no longer arrogant and snobby like before. She had started to appreciate Luo Si more. As for Zhao Gu, she went to a farewell party with her professor boyfriend. Some Western guys kept saying that the university she was attending was mediocre, and that she could rely on the professor to live well in the future. Zhao Gu, who had always been independent and stood on her own 2 feet, couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness when she heard those words. Back home, she was surprised when her mother from the countryside called, saying words of comfort and encouragement. Take care of yourself when you study abroad, stay healthy, and try to live well. Zhao Gu's father also withdrew a large sum of money, saying he would send it to his daughter before she left. Would these sudden events make Zhao Gu change her decision to go to England? At Hangchangji, the sales situation lately wasn't very good. The design director's team's sales were plummeting, and the team of section chief Chi Chao and Zhong Wei was equally bad. Some members even resigned because they didn't like Zhong Wei's working style. How will Zhong Wei face these difficulties in the future? Chairman Zhong called his son in for a chat. The father advised his son to broaden his horizons and listen more. That way, the team would be united and not divided. Taking his father's and Mi-rin's advice, that very day, he called everyone together. In the past, he had been stubborn and hadn't listened to his teammates' opinions. Now, he bowed his head in apology, hoping everyone would come back to work with him. Seeing that young boss Zhong had good intentions, the others didn't hold a grudge. They promised to work harder for the company from now on. In the dormitory, Su Miao was helping me run pack and ship goods. Mi-rin's online designs were now selling like hotcakes, with people constantly calling to place large orders. Many famous model design companies also sent interview invitations to her. But in reality, the place she most wanted to work was still Hangchangji. The next day, the design director called an urgent meeting. He announced that they would soon be collaborating with a world-renowned Japanese designer. To invite this person, The director must have spent a considerable amount, but he was very confident in his team's upcoming sales. Zhong Wei and Chi Chao were having a hard time choosing a design. If they couldn't choose an outstanding work, it would be difficult to compete with the director's team. In the midst of this crisis, Mi-ren appeared like a savior. She said she wanted to apply for a job and would be his right-hand woman from now on. Since the design genius Mi-ren joined, the whole team felt revitalized, full of creative ideas, and worked together very well. They worked tirelessly, day and night, just hoping to produce the best design. As for Luo Si, she continued to take care of her boyfriend diligently. Thanks to her dedicated help, his spirits had improved greatly. The class president now had a valuable advisor by his side while writing his novel. He had to write in a way that pleased his girlfriend, or he'd be in trouble. His future life seemed to have more bad than good. Besides working at Hang Changji, Zhong Wei always helped Mi-ren review her schoolwork. He was determined not to let her be last in the class anymore. Back at the dormitory, Mi-ren had a short conversation with Su Miao. The school beauty talked about her family's adorable dog, Xiao Bai. Thanks to the conversation, Mi-ren had a creative idea. Their theme this time was a companion cat. Mi-ren was very serious and urgent about the upcoming launch, hoping their design would win throughout the company. The next day, Zhong Wei presented the companion cat idea at a meeting with the board of directors. The chairman was initially a little worried about this new idea. He feared that the market would be reluctant to accept the new design. After convincing his father to take a risk for a breakthrough, Zhong Wei's project was approved by the board. However, this was only the initial success. Later, there would be production, sales, and marketing. Everyone prepared for the launch of the new product at the Wuji Experience Store. Thanks to the help of their friends, everything was ready. The next day, Mi-ren became the presenter for the companion cat fans while Zhong Wei became a living mascot, taking pictures with fans. On just the first day of launch, their companion cat received many orders from major distributors. Everyone was overjoyed, except for the design director, who wasn't very happy when he heard the news. The young people went out to eat, drink, and toasted today's victory. In addition, Zhao Gu also announced that she would not be studying abroad anymore. Actually, staying was also a good choice. Zhong Wei's companion cat project was initially very successful, but several days later a problem arose. A series of major and minor distributors came to Hang Changji to return their orders. The reason was that sales were not good. Customers weren't very interested in the companion cat model. Zhong Wei was very sad about this. Mi-ren tried to tell him jokes, but he couldn't even smile. Su Miao learned about Hang Changji's situation and came up with a new idea. She wanted to live stream to help promote the companion cat product to a wider audience. This idea was actually not bad. Zhong Wei returned home with a face as droopy as a soaked rice cracker. Knowing that his son was upset about the company's failure, his father encouraged and motivated him. Anyway, there would be many more difficulties in the future, so just try your best. Mi-ren actively distributed flyers and posted companion cat advertisements everywhere. Su Miao also helped live stream to promote the product, but it didn't seem to be effective. It was then that Zhao Gu suggested creating an online marketplace. Mi-ren had the idea of creating an online experience store to reach everyone. Seeing the vivid and adorable animal images, it actually worked. Many new orders were sent to Hang Changji. Finally, the day came for the chairman to announce the fourth quarter sales results. Companion Cat had become the year-end sales champion. Zhong Wei's team and section chief Chi Chao cheered joyfully, but the design director was called into the chairman's private office for a talk. He had actually colluded with outsiders to forge purchase orders just to boost his reported sales figures. A person who disregarded all means and even stifled his teammates' ideas was truly outrageous. He not only didn't repent, but also claimed that the chairman always favored his son, out of respect for his many years of contribution to Hang Changji. The chairman would not press charges, but his career at Hang Changji would end here. After being carefully cared for by Luo Si for some time, Feng Mao had completely recovered. The day he returned to school was also the day Luo Si left. Before, she had considered him her whole life, but now she wanted to live for herself. The time she spent caring for and helping him was just as friends. From now on, she would no longer be hung up on love. Only when people lose something do they appreciate it. The class president and Su Miao were on a date when they ran into Zhao Gu shopping. She was planning to buy something for her family. Hearing that the small park was about to be demolished to build houses, Zhong Wei and Mi-ren rushed to see it. Under a tree in the park was where Zhong Wei had buried their memories years ago. They promised that no matter what happened in the future, they would always be by each other's side. College life, youth, has many joys and sorrows. Each emotional stage we go through leaves many experiences. Let's live happily and fully because life is very short. This is where the story ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on more amazing videos. For now, goodbye and until next time.